We live in a world obsessed with numbers, targets, deadlines, profit margins. But somewhere along the way, we forgot the most important variable in every equation: people. Money can fuel a company, but people build it. Money can scale a business, but people give it purpose. And when we put money first, we lose the very thing that makes growth possible in the first place. Today, we don't have the luxury of waiting. Not anymore. The cost of neglecting people is already showing in burnout, in turnover, in broken trust, and in leaders who wonder why their organizations feel hollow. This is the moment we course correct. This is the moment we remember that people come before money. Not because it sounds good, but because our future depends on it. Profit always follows people, because people are the engine of every dream, every business, every relationship, and every legacy. When we forget that, men in particular begin carrying a silent weight, feeling like their worth is tied to what they produce instead of who they are. And when men start believing their value comes from money, they chase numbers instead of meaning, and the pressure becomes unbearable. From the outside, women see this struggle clearly. They watch men grind themselves down, thinking they're doing it for the family, not realizing the family never asked them to sacrifice themselves to the point of disappearing. The truth is simple. People don't need perfect providers, they need present human beings. People are always the priority, because no amount of profit can replace the strength that comes from being part of something where you actually matter. Men want to feel respected, trusted, and valued, not because of status, but because of contribution. They want to know their effort has significance. Women want the same, but they also want connection, emotional presence, and shared purpose. When leaders forget this and put money ahead of people, they accidentally create environments where men shut down, hide stress, and push harder just to feel seen. This leads to teams full of individuals who look successful on paper but feel empty in reality. Purpose drives people far longer than pressure ever will, and men especially respond to purpose with loyalty, courage, and resilience. Give a man a mission that matters, and he will run through walls for it. Give him a financial target without meaning, and he will burn out trying to pretend he cares. Women see the difference immediately. They recognize when a man is fueled by purpose versus when he's drowning in obligation. And they know that when people are inspired, when they genuinely feel part of something, they create results that money could never buy. Human connection creates the kind of trust that transforms workplaces and relationships. And trust is always built through people, never profit. Men thrive when they are trusted to lead, to protect, to create, and to contribute. Women thrive when they feel understood, supported, and emotionally connected. When both perspectives are honored, profit becomes a natural outcome of a culture that actually works. People stay longer, give more, and rise higher, not because they're paid to, but because they want to. And once you've built that kind of environment, money doesn't just follow people, it chases them. Trust is the currency that can never be borrowed, bought, or faked, and yet it is more valuable than any pile of cash. Men in particular often feel compelled to prove themselves through achievement, bonuses, or status symbols, believing that respect and security come from external measures of success. But when trust is missing, all those measures collapse like a house of cards. Women notice this almost instinctively. They see when a man is leading with fear, guarding himself, or measuring his worth in dollars instead of deeds. Trust is not a transaction, it's a feeling, an assurance that you can rely on someone, that they have your back even when it costs them nothing. Men thrive on trust because it gives them the freedom to take risks, to innovate, and to show vulnerability without fear of judgment. When a man knows he is trusted, his mind stops calculating how to protect his ego and starts calculating how to contribute. Women perceive trust differently. They look for consistency, transparency, and empathy. They know that when a man's words and actions align, he becomes someone they can lean on, someone whose presence strengthens the whole system. Trust is the invisible glue that holds teams, families, and relationships together, and without it, even the most talented men will underperform because they are distracted by doubt and suspicion. Building trust is not an act of convenience, it is a daily commitment. Men often underestimate its power because they confuse toughness with invulnerability, believing that asking for help or admitting mistakes makes them weak. Yet it is precisely in those moments of openness that trust deepens. Women sense this authenticity immediately. and they respond with loyalty, cooperation, and engagement. The dynamic between men and women in any environment is magnified by the presence or absence of trust. Men perform better, women feel safer, and the collective energy of a group becomes exponentially stronger when trust is established. Trust shapes behavior more than money ever will. A man may work hard for a paycheck, but he will go the extra mile for people he trusts and who trust him back. Women recognize this drive because it manifests in reliability, in listening, in protection, and in shared purpose. In workplaces, in families, in friendships, the culture of trust transforms obligations into commitments, pressure into motivation, and fear into courage. Money can come and go, but trust creates an ecosystem where people, especially men and women navigating their roles together, feel empowered to give their best and contribute in ways that no financial incentive could ever inspire. Safety is not a luxury, it is the foundation of excellence. Men in particular operate on a simple equation. If they feel threatened, socially, professionally, or emotionally, they protect themselves first and contribute second. When a man senses danger, whether it's criticism, ridicule, or judgment, his brain shifts into survival mode. He becomes cautious, guarded, and risk-averse. Women notice this almost immediately because they sense tension, distance, and hesitation. Safety, however, flips that script entirely. When men feel secure, they step into their full potential, take bold actions, and invest themselves fully in the people and causes around them. Feeling safe is not just about physical protection. It is about psychological and emotional space. Men often internalize the pressure to perform, to provide, and to lead without showing weakness. When they are surrounded by an environment that honors vulnerability instead of punishing it, they begin to relax. Women play a crucial role in this ecosystem because they can amplify safety through empathy, consistency, and understanding. When men sense that they are truly seen and accepted, the walls they've built around themselves start to crumble, and they finally give their ideas, their energy, and their loyalty without hesitation. Trust and safety are intertwined, but safety is the action that allows trust to grow. Men need to feel that making a mistake will not cost them their status or respect, and that taking a risk will not lead to ridicule. Women recognize this environment instantly because they value emotional availability and authenticity, and they respond to men who are confident enough to be vulnerable. In organizations, families, or any group setting, the moment people feel safe, creativity flourishes. Men who feel protected and supported become problem solvers, innovators, and leaders, not because they are forced, but because they want to be. The most extraordinary results come from environments where people believe they will be supported even when things go wrong. Men want to excel, but they excel best when they know failure is not fatal. Women, observing this dynamic, see the strength in trust and the courage it inspires. Safety allows for open dialogue, honest feedback, and collaboration that transcends hierarchy or paycheck. When men feel safe, they give their ideas freely. They step into leadership without ego, and they show the resilience and dedication that money alone could never buy. Safety, in this sense, is the invisible currency that unlocks human potential and drives performance from the inside out. Money motivates today because it solves immediate problems, buys security, and provides tangible rewards that are easy to measure. Men, in particular, are wired to respond quickly to these visible incentives. They see a target, a bonus, or a promotion, and their brains light up with the satisfaction of achievement. But the satisfaction is fleeting. Women notice this pattern from the outside. They see men working tirelessly for financial rewards that rarely bring fulfillment, often leaving relationships, health, and emotional well-being on the back burner. Money can spark action, but it cannot sustain engagement, loyalty, or true commitment over the long term. Purpose motivates forever because it taps into something deeper than desire or fear. Men respond profoundly when they understand why their work matters, when they see how their effort contributes to something bigger than themselves. It is no longer about status or reward. It is about impact, significance, and legacy. Women recognize this motivation because it shows up in behavior, consistency, patience, care, and focus. Men, driven by purpose, take responsibility not just for tasks, but for people. They go beyond the paycheck, showing up fully because they are inspired, not because they are compelled. Purpose also creates resilience in ways money cannot. Men naturally want to protect, lead, and provide, and when their actions are connected to a meaningful cause, challenges become opportunities rather than threats. Financial incentives might push a man to work harder temporarily, but only purpose gives him the stamina to persevere when the stakes are high, when obstacles are daunting, and when recognition is delayed. Women sense this alignment immediately. They can tell when a man is performing out of genuine commitment versus out of obligation. Purpose fosters trust, cooperation, and emotional presence in ways money never will. When people are motivated by purpose, their contribution multiplies and their satisfaction deepens. Men begin to experience fulfillment that is not tied to external validation, and women notice the difference in energy, engagement, and authenticity. Purpose allows for creativity, problem-solving, and leadership that are sustainable because they are rooted in meaning rather than fear of loss or desire for gain. Money can open doors, but purpose keeps people walking through them with dedication, care, and vision. It ignites a sense of responsibility, connection, and pride that transcends any balance sheet or bonus structure. Men and women both thrive when purpose drives the work because it transforms effort into passion and obligation into devotion. A culture built on care outperforms a culture built on fear because human beings respond to environments where they feel valued, not threatened. Men, in particular, are wired to seek approval and respect, yet too often they experience workplaces, families, or social systems that reward toughness and compliance over compassion and understanding. When fear becomes the dominant force, men start to operate from a defensive mindset, constantly calculating risks, guarding their vulnerabilities, and prioritizing self-preservation over collaboration. Women notice this pattern immediately. They see the tension, the guarded energy, and the lack of genuine connection. Care, on the other hand, creates space for men to thrive, to innovate, and to step into leadership not out of obligation, but out of commitment. Men are particularly responsive to signals of care because it validates their effort and presence. When someone demonstrates genuine concern for their well-being, whether a leader, a partner, or a colleague, men feel a release from the constant pressure to perform perfectly. They begin to take risks, share ideas, and invest emotionally because they know they are supported. Women, from their perspective, are attuned to the emotional climate of any environment. They recognize immediately when men are acting out of fear versus when they are encouraged by trust and empathy. A culture rooted in care doesn't just protect individuals. It creates a shared sense of purpose and accountability that amplifies performance naturally. Fear, while it can produce short-term results, never builds loyalty or creativity. Men under fear operate with a closed mindset, avoiding mistakes and hiding weaknesses to protect themselves. Women observe how this stifles communication, diminishes empathy, and erodes long-term relationships. In contrast, care cultivates openness, where men feel safe to experiment, fail, and grow without judgment. They become problem solvers rather than scapegoats, mentors rather than competitors. Women respond to this behavior with cooperation, engagement, and increased trust, creating a dynamic where both men and women are aligned and motivated by mutual respect and shared objectives. Caring cultures drive results because they tap into intrinsic motivation. Men begin to invest not just their skills, but their hearts, energy, and creativity, while women thrive in environments where collaboration, understanding, and emotional intelligence are prioritized. Fear may get compliance, but care cultivates commitment, resilience, and innovation. When leaders prioritize well-being, connection, and empathy, men respond with courage and determination, and women respond with partnership and insight. Together, a culture built on care produces outcomes that money, pressure, or authority alone could never achieve, creating a force that transforms performance, loyalty, and human potential. Investing in people is not optional. It is the most important decision any leader, partner, or organization can make. Men, in particular, often equate investment with output. They measure their worth by what they produce, what they provide, or the visible results of their labor. But the hidden truth is that without meaningful investment in the people around them, even the most talented, hardworking men will hit a wall. Women observe this dynamic keenly. They recognize that when men focus solely on transactions and performance metrics, relationships strain, morale drops, and potential goes unrealized. Investing in people is not a cost. It is the foundation for sustainable growth, resilience, and loyalty. Men thrive when they are seen, supported, and developed, not just instructed or evaluated. When someone takes the time to invest in a man's growth, skills, and well-being, it signals trust, respect, and belief in his potential. This kind of investment ignites intrinsic motivation, courage, and commitment. Women notice the difference immediately. They can tell when a man is operating out of fear or obligation versus when he feels nurtured and encouraged. Investment in people creates a feedback loop. Men who feel valued become more engaged, contribute more meaningfully, and inspire those around them, including women, to do the same. Neglecting investment in people carries a cost that compounds over time. Men who feel unsupported, undervalued, or ignored often withdraw, becoming distant or disengaged, even if they continue to perform at a surface level. Women perceive the emotional distance, the subtle disengagement, and the erosion of trust, which affects collaboration, intimacy, and teamwork. Organizations that ignore this principle see turnover, burnout, and lost talent. Families experience friction, resentment, and disconnection. The cost of failing to invest is far higher than the effort required to nurture, develop, and support individuals from the beginning. True investment requires patience, attention, and intentionality. Men are more likely to embrace challenges, take calculated risks, and display resilience when they know they have a foundation of support. Women, in turn, respond to environments where people feel prioritized, respected, and understood. Investment is not limited to financial resources. It encompasses time, mentorship, empathy, and opportunities for growth. When leaders and partners commit to these forms of investment, men step into their best selves, not out of obligation or fear, but because they feel connected, accountable, and motivated by purpose. The ripple effects of investing in people extend far beyond immediate performance. Men develop confidence, emotional intelligence, and leadership capacity that benefits teams, families, and communities. Women respond with trust, engagement, and loyalty, creating environments where collaboration, creativity, and resilience flourish. When people feel valued and supported, they are more likely to contribute fully, stay committed, and go above and beyond in ways that no money, pressure, or incentive alone could ever achieve. The long-term gains of investing in people, emotional, relational, and practical, far outweigh the cost of neglect, and yet too many wait until it is too late to act.